Hey everybody, Brian Von VA representing, you guessed it, MrRipper. Today we're going to be talking about something that I personally hold dear in my heart. The topic of talking about highlights from your first time DMing. Now, I read tons of comments, I get tons of messages, and I have tons of people on my personal stuff telling me about their first time DMing and kinda how we at MrRipper influenced them to do so. So, without further ado, highlights from your first time DMing, and make sure to leave a comment down below with your highlights too. I had the most "the salt shaker is a dragon and you're these gummy bears" moment ever. I was using Discord and used screen share, then opened up Adobe Illustrator and imported the map, used colored squares to denote character locations, and used a handwritten initiative counter. This was before I knew about Roll20 and other online platforms. I will say, though, that I'm very happy with the DM PC I made. After seeing lots of Crit Crab and Den of the Drake, I knew the trap that DM PCs could be. But I also knew the party needed a healer for what I had planned for Session 1. Meet Dorhorn Hedgent, your generic half-elf cleric whose background was essentially, he came to Icewind Dale to help the poor people with his magic and his money. He, of course, died, as I only gave him 5 HP. But that was after bringing people back up from 0 like 4 times. In my mind, he'd served his purpose. Then a player asked to look over his body and check for anything potentially important or identifiable. A journal, a holy symbol, something to work with. I reflexively said, yeah, a leaf, a golden leaf, yeah. And thus, the Gospel of the Golden Tree was born. A homebrewed religion that a PC, who joined later as the brother of Dorhorn, was a paladin of. Delivering his body back to his people became the best quest hook a new DM could have ever asked for, giving them a clear, short-term goal while being exposed to other subplots along the way to grab their interest. All praise the Gospel of the Golden Tree. First session was interestingly hilarious. Minotaur Barbarian, who thought he was a horny bard, had shit rolls for everything but his seduction rolls. A turtle fighter, who was basically Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Bugbear monk, who got into a wrestling match with a goblin and both rolled low the entire fight, so it was essentially a tickle fight. Dragonborn sorcerer, who did not listen on how to properly build his character. He had a 17 in strength, but a 12 in charisma. Half-elf rogue who tried to be sneaky but wasn't. So the barbarian tried to seduce most of the sentient creatures the party came across, and any rejection ended with a raging bull man swinging a great axe. At one point the group came up on a watchtower with a few goblins, so the rogue was going to attempt to sneak around to find a way to kill them. The dragonborn sorcerer said, "Nah, dog," and used his fire breath to take out the wooden tower, the goblins, and start a small forest fire. Rogue saw that one of the gobs wasn't too crispy and took its face, Game of Thrones, faceless man style, and put it on. Didn't even bother cleaning the blood off. Fast forward to the last encounter of the night. The group is being ambushed by a goblin raiding party. Combat ensued, dun dun dun! This is where the monk and goblin started rolling poorly and basically had a tickle fight while everyone else is fighting. Leonardo got his katanas stuck on a tree in a nat 1. Horny Barb was trying to seduce gobfolk left and right, but lost himself to his rage after his first rejection. The DB sorcerer was trying out his magic, but couldn't hit shit. Now by this time, the rogue player was a bit drunk and wasn't really keeping up with what was going on. He shoots a gobbo in the leg with his bow, and the player drunkenly, feeling bad about it, says, "Oh, God, I feel horrible for this. Can I try and convert him to Christianity?" Keep in mind, he's doing this while wearing the face of one of this goblin's friends. I expected a lot of shenanigans from my friends, and I can roll with a lot of things thrown at me. This one caught all of us off guard. We had to stop for like 10 minutes because we were laughing so hard. Sure, roll a religion check, I say. Cue the first nat 20 of our campaign. Congratulations. So yeah, You tell him about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He doesn't understand you because y'all don't speak any of the same languages, but he sees your conviction and embraces the feelings you're giving off. Evangelicals in D&D. The player said he feels a lot better now. Then suddenly, boom! The Dragonborn sorcerer finally lands his first spell, thunderclaps the recently converted goblin, sending him to meet Jesus. Dragon Jesus, take the wheel. The rogue player looks down and says, "Oh, man." The sorcerer player starts laughing and is all excited he finally landed his spell. The sessions after that just got more chaotic. My first time DMing was kind of ridiculous. I'd been playing with this group of friends for like 6 months at the time. I was working on a campaign idea already, and I had some NPC art I'd pinned on Pinterest, but that was about it. Well, one day our group's DM was busy and most of the other players couldn't make session anyway. But the two who did were bored and wanted to play. So one of them said, "I know, Scorp can DM a one-shot for us. It'll be great." So I quickly threw together a one-shot where they were supposed to go fight goblins in the forest. They never got outside the tavern. Some highlights from the session included the tiefling cleric praying to his deity to shrink the bartender's ginormous penis, a bar patron accidentally getting killed by a thrown 2x4 by said bartender with a ginormous penis, the kobold sorcerer using meld into stone to add the corpse of the bar patron to the fireplace, because neither of us actually read the spell's description and the idea was too funny to pass up. The session ended with the game of strip poker against an NPC with proficiency in playing cards, who basically schooled them easily, while the NPC who lost, a Dragonborn, was revealed to have a tiny penis, which embarrassed him enough that he ran away, compared to the bartender with his, let's all say it together, ginormous penis! My first time DMing was a Super Bowl themed one-shot where the PCs were transported to the D&D universe. The only thing the characters had in common was that they were all trying to make it to the same football game in 7 days. The Mississippi Possums versus the Connecticut Crickets. They had to beat up 3 bad guys who were actively destroying land to summon demons. There were 7 characters in the group, but there were 2 in particular who are important for my favorite part. One was the mascot for the Possums, who was a druid, and the other was the quarterback barbarian for the same team. They were in the final with the big bad evil guy. Cultists were in a summoning circle trying to summon a demon, and the big bad evil guy was keeping the PCs away from the cultists. The mascot and the quarterback get an idea. Tossing a flaming possum spirit, he flavored his wildfire spirit as a possum, like a football, and killing this guy. The big bad evil guy was already pretty beat up at this point. They spent 5 minutes just doing the math on it, and in the end, they hit him and killed him. TLDR, and an American football-themed one-shot, a quarterback threw a flaming possum at the big bad evil guy and killed him. And yes, to some of you, I know there is a term, opossum, but I always called it possum, and so do most of us in the Midwest. I actually got to DM for the first time today. Hey, from this narrator to you, congratulations. I run a D&D club at school as I'm one of the seniors, and today was the first main session. Put up my DM screen, got my dice out, and just went for it. All went well, and overall a great session. Now, the funny parts. So at my table, we were fighting some enemies, and one wanted to use message to insult one of the creatures they were fighting to kill it with the insult. Now I know that typically the spell doesn't work that way, but I said, oh well, and let him. Nat 1. He took 2 psychic damage. Not the enemy he was fighting, no. He gave himself 2 psychic damage. We were all doubled over laughing and crying at it. The other table was laughing with us too. At the end, I was finishing the session off and gave them their rewards. The NPC, one of my characters I often play, used my character for quickness and convenience. Has 3 kids, and the kids handed all the party members little charms. Now, earlier on in the session, the party had seen the NPC and the kids looking out a window watching them. Both times when I brought up the 3 kids, there was a massive and very loud "oh" from them, and it just completely melted my heart. At the other table, the other DM managed to kill one of the players' characters not only once, but twice in the 2-hour session, meaning the player had to roll up 2 characters within the session, and both times it happened, we were all laughing. Great first-time experience, and my players are some awesome kids. One of them actually reminding me of myself when I was in that year of school. So, yeah, those were my favorite moments of the session. I ran Lost Mines of Phandelver, as I only had the starter set at the time, and our monk died after falling down the gravel in the Goblin's Cave and rolling a nat 1 on their first death save. Literally tripped, hit their head, and bled out before anyone could reach them. They kidnapped a goblin and dragged it into a church to forcefully marry it to our cleric. Look, you can't lead with that and not give us the story. Where's the rest of the story? Excuse me. I want to be a part of this shotgun wedding. What happened here? My first ever attempt DMing was as a young lad who was just given 3.5. Oh yes. I threw an adult black dragon at a level 3 party because, well, it's called Dungeons and Dragons. It wouldn't make sense if there wasn't a dragon in the dungeon. This logic, though. There was soon a dead party of level 3 adventurers in the dungeon. That was me, though. Not literally this guy, but no, me. I thought the same thing when I was young. I'm like, dude, I just want to throw dragons at people. Yay! I will never forget the enraptured expression of my players when I introduced Axiom, the Star Puddle. A very intelligent slime that looks like a night sky full of stars with the full moon as his head. He was the assistant to Philip, the Mad Crow, a phenomenal blacksmith Kenku who made all kinds of crazy things. I told them I was diving head first into Homebrew, but I guess they didn't expect completely new creatures. I really love these ideas. I want to know more about Axiom and Philip. Please, if you're out there listening in, send me some info about it. I need to know. I found out how utterly broken a first level cleric was. I'm pretty decent with improv, but not good enough to plan very little in improv. The players can and will make you suffer. This may only apply to my group. No, that's every group, my man. Don't approve a homebrew you haven't read. The party will fall in love with the NPC you've planned to kill already. In my first session DMing, one of my players managed to start a bar fight. This is the first bar fight I have ever witnessed, even as a player. I ended up having the town guards get involved, and the party is barred from every tavern in that town. I didn't realize that you weren't supposed to plan every aspect of a homebrew adventure, so I had spent a few hours trying to mastermind something that the characters derailed after seconds. Pro tip, plan from the back, figure out the big bad evil guy first. I came up with everything after that on the spot, and it was a dumpster fire of nonsense. Eventually, I learned my lesson. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, back at it again, checking in after the vid. How y'all doing? Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and to ring that bell to get notified when we go live, or if we post another video, or if we post a short video. Yes, all 3. You'll be notified for everything. Also, if you want to satisfy the bloodlust of the algorithm gods in the 9th level of hell, please leave a comment down below with your highlight from your first time DMing, or a story that you might have heard from a friend, a family member, anybody who's anyone. Leave a comment down below. We want to know. Also, if you want to come say hi to me, Brian Von VA, your favorite narrator from this part of Ohio, come do so over there on my Twitch, which you can find through my website in the description below, brianvonva.com. Also, I try to end things on a positive note, but today I'm going to end with a highlight from my first time DMing, not D&D or Pathfinder, just a random off-brand game. I had about 20 players, and a highlight for me was when, out of those 20 players, since everyone genuinely liked my storytelling and everything I did, except my puzzles. They were apparently too hard. Most of the people actually quit my session because of that, except for about 6 or 7 people. Mind you, I was 18 at the time. And these 6 or 7 people literally messaged me and said, "Did everyone quit at this puzzle with the clock?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "Why?" And I said, "Because none of them knew how to read an analog clock." Yeah, literally. My little puzzle was so hard because people didn't understand how to actually differentiate what 12 on the clock meant and what 6 on the clock meant. They didn't know the second hand, the hour hand, the minute hand, none of it. They just were like, what is this thing? Clocks aren't like this. This is from like the 1400s. And I went, this is an analog clock, guys. Most of you are older than me. Shouldn't you know what an analog clock is? And they're like, nah, man, everything's digital. This is stupid. And they all left. But those 7 people that stayed made my day, because I'm like, I really did it, guys. I did it. Just goes to show, even if you have a big mess up like that, doesn't mean you're in the wrong. Just means sometimes other people don't know what they're doing. That said, I hope you have a great day. I love you. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.